This new trailer sucks! Okay, so fake out opening, but stick with me here. So what I actually want to talk about is something that is an argument I see get made every now and again, and I've seen it quite recently in regards to a fair number of comments that showed up on my last Ghost in the Shell related video, and that is people telling me, you can't judge a movie just by the trailer, wait until you see it! And basically, there's always somebody who comes out of the woodwork to tell me that whenever I declare I don't intend to see this movie based on a piece of marketing. People said that when I declared that I wasn't going to go to Wonder Woman. They've now done so with Ghost in the Shell. And, you know, anytime I say this makes me not want to watch the movie, there's always somebody who says, stop judging it by the trailer. And which, I suppose, on the one hand, I get where that's coming from, because it's like, it's an extension of don't judge a book by its cover. But can we actually examine that sentiment for a second? The entire point of the trailer is for it to be judged. The reason it exists is so that the studio can make you aware that the film exists. Here is a sampling of it. Here is the feel of it. Here's the vibe of it. Please judge this. We hope you judge that you will want to now see the movie. The entire purpose of marketing is so you will judge it. They hope positively. However, whenever I judge something not positively, the defenders of it are the people who don't share my criticisms or whatever, which is fine. You don't have to agree with me. But to say you can't judge it by the trailer, it's why it's here. Now, if I'm being fair, because I know people are going to bring this up, there are times that trailers are misleading for one reason or another. Maybe the people doing the marketing end of it don't understand the movie. Maybe there's just something about the movie that's really hard to market, so they're sort of putting emphasis on a different angle that isn't necessarily representative of the whole film. I know that happens on occasion, and you can cite me examples, but first of all, the times that happen is the minority of the time. And second of all, most of the really egregious examples you can find of misleading trailers are not on tentpole releases. They're on mid-budget films, or they're on low-budget films being distributed by a higher-end studio on some level. And I've also noticed the opposite almost never happens. When I see a trailer and go, wow, I'm really excited about this, it pretty much never happens when somebody goes, you shouldn't judge it by the trailer, it could suck! Which I actually think would be a much more interesting conversation to have, because I think it's much more interesting when they make a really good trailer to a bad movie. I mean, we don't even have to look that far in the past. Prometheus had amazing trailers. Suicide Squad, my God, those trailers were awesome! I would happily watch those trailers again. I don't ever want to see the movie again. But can anyone really think of too many examples off the top of their heads of big budget, tentpole films that had lousy trailers but turned out to be really good? I can't think of any off the top of my head, not in recent years at any rate. And I know that might sound like a cop-out to say, you know, like in the last 5-6 years or whatever, but I mean, the nature of trailers and how trailers are constructed and what passes for, you know, being a good way to sell it keeps changing. I mean, go back and look at a trailer from the early 2000s, from the 90s, from the 80s. Actually, that'd be a fun experiment. Just pick a decade and pick a well-known movie. Look at the trailer from that decade. See how much trailers have changed. But I digress. Now, the other thing is that people, and again, this has come up with Ghost in the Shell, people have been like, well, you know, maybe they're holding things back, and maybe it's this, and it could be this, and they could be, you know, trying to trick you, and that's possible, but here's the thing. Unless I'm dealing with J.J. Abrams, who does and has flat out lied in what he's talked about in the lead up to films and with his trailers, I am gonna take what they give me at face value. It just strikes me as a really bizarre bit of blind hope to see a trailer and then go, oh, well, I bet it's really about this thing that I want it to be about. Even the trailer doesn't indicate that in any way whatsoever. That's a weird reaction to me. Now, to be fair, how much weight you want to give to a trailer maybe should vary on a case-by-case basis. I think specifically in terms of genres. I think some genres it's much more fair to judge it very substantially on the trailer than others. I'll sort of pick the two extremes to exemplify what I'm talking about. I think it is incredibly fair to judge the hell out of a comedy by its trailer, because it's a very simple measure. Did the trailer make you laugh? Then the movie might make you laugh. If you didn't laugh at the trailer, which theoretically is some of the best parts to hook you in, you're probably not going to laugh at the rest of the movie. On the flip side, horror is really hard to cut a good trailer for because most of the really effective horror movies, regardless of the subgenre, whether it's a ghost movie or it's a slasher or whatever, depend heavily on a sense of atmosphere and a buildup of dread and sort of really specific circumstances in a shot, how long it lingers before stuff happens, and it's all stuff that takes time. And when you cut together a trailer which needs to be quick and punchy, they just end up jumping between jump scares or vague shadows, and pretty much almost all horror trailers look the same regardless of the actual finished product. So I would say that is a genre that if you wanted to tell me don't judge it by the trailer, I would go, you know what, that's fair, because it's almost impossible to properly sell a horror movie based on a trailer. All you can really do is explain the premise, and that is not the same as giving you a feel of the atmosphere or whether or not there's a sense of dread in the thing at all. I suppose this is just my long-winded way of saying, guys, stop telling me not to judge a movie by the trailer and decide whether or not I'm going to see it based on the trailer. That's why it exists, so I'm going to judge it. And if it is found wanting, I will judge it rather harshly. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks, give a listen to the Council of Geeks podcast, available on iTunes and Stitcher, and until next time, this council is adjourned.